Good evening and welcome to 365 Days of Amazing Stories with Theo Mayer. Here we are on day 127 of 2024, and I'm continuing the story of King Goodness. Now, you might remember we've left him in the desert. He was buried by some incredible chance. He got himself loosened out of the earth, freed all of his men, and now they're all standing there, collecting themselves, dusting themselves off, smiling at each other as to their safe recovery. As I had mentioned, I believe, there were two goblins fighting over a corpse that had been left overnight to be buried the next day. As they're fighting, they're like arguing who gets the corpse because they had come across it at the same time. And finally, one of them said, well, we should divide it. But then they started arguing about how to divide it fairly. They were about to start, hitting each other, to come to blows with each other, when one of them suggested, King Goodness is but a short distance away from us at this very moment. He is just, good, and fair. Let us take the corpse to him. Certainly, he will divide it fairly between the two of us. The other goblin agreed, and so the two of them dragged the corpse over to where King Goodness stood in the desert, close to the cemetery. They came, they prostrated themselves in front of King Goodness. King Goodness asked him, what is it that you request? How can I help you? The goblins presented their case, asked if he could divide that corpse up equally between the two of them. King Goodness, of course, said he would be happy to do so. But he said, right now I'm dirty. I need to be cleansed. Then I will divide the corpse for you. The goblins said, of course. And in a moment, they had right in front of King Goodness a beautiful bath filled with hot water, scented with perfumes, waiting for him to cleanse himself. As he did, one of the goblins returned to the palace of King Goodness and brought him his robes, his royal robes that were laying out for the king of Kosala to put on when he awakened in the morning. Not only that they brought him also other things that a man would put on at that point in time to make himself presentable in the most respectful of ways. Well, King Goodness, he put on those garments. And then the goblins asked, is there something more we could do for you? He said, there is. I am quite hungry. The goblins immediately presented before King Goodness and all of his men freshly cooked rice and beautiful dals and all these vegetable dishes and curries, desserts at the end. After all were satisfied, the king then said, I now need but one more thing, which is my sword. Then I shall divide this corpse for you. The goblins returned to the palace. There, from the bedchamber where the king of Kosala was sleeping, they took King Goodness's sword and brought it to him. King Goodness had the corpse set up straight, and with one mighty blow, he cut that corpse in two. Well, the goblins, awaiting this moment, began to do their feasting. Now, a gory sight this would have been, of course. But King Goodness stood by, as did his men. And once the goblins were quite satisfied, in great appreciation for what King Goodness had done, they asked him if there was anything more that they could do for him. And King Goodness said, of course, there is one more thing that you could do. And we'll stop the story there and find out what it was he asked for next. Okay, thanks for joining. Have a good rest of your day or evening.